So this is going to be a video about climate change, rising seas, tropical storms, and the future of Long Island and New York City. And a lot of what I talk about really has to do with the fact we are investing in areas that are prone to natural disasters because purely of demographics. And not only do I feel it's extremely unfair, but it's also foolish. And this is happening in New York City. And I recently, when I went to the meeting at the MTA, I went downtown and I walked around Battery Park City, and it was beautiful. It is like a completely different world from Midtown. Midtown feels like it's heading downhill. There's lots of homeless people all over the place, but downtown, this is where the money is now, because it's just like with South Shore versus the middle of the island. It's the same thing. This is where the money is. This is where the finance professionals are. This is where Wall Street is, and this is the area that's invested in. And it's a happy place to be. It's a beautiful place to be. But we're putting all our eggs into areas that could be. These are some pictures, by the way, of the World Financial Center Mall, Brookfield Place, whatever they call it nowadays. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. I appreciate a lot of the man-made architecture. You could tell a lot of quality was poured into this area, and it looks beautiful. It really does. It's very upscale, but it looks beautiful. Yeah, there are a lot of finance professionals here, but I have no problem with finance professionals. I really don't. I just wish that they would be a little more open-minded into where they go and where they put their money in. But here, I will just say off the bat, I didn't experience any snobby people or anything like that, even though there were finance professionals here. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. I'm just saying. And by the way, this is a 4 World Trade Center, the lobby of 4 World Trade Center, and beautiful, beautiful area, beautiful buildings. Beautiful buildings. This is a 69-story building. I'm sure the elevators must be absolutely amazing. I'm sure that they are. But we're again putting all our beautiful these beautiful buildings. That's one World Trade Center. Obviously, I'd like to go to the top one day. The weather wasn't good that day for us to do that, and we were in the lobby of one World Trade Center. And yep, I got busted in the lobby for taking pictures. Don't go into the lobby of one World Trade Center because they will kick you out. They were very friendly. They weren't threatening, but they said I had to leave. It's a non-public area, and you can't take pictures. But I did get that picture of the lobby of One World Trade Center. And why am I showing you all these pictures? Well, it's because these are areas that could be threatened by climate change and storms. And again, this is where all the investment is being poured into, are these areas because of the demographics, I guess, or whatever. But, I'm concerned about it. Now, downtown, we have to protect downtown. All right, we have to think of something to protect downtown from tropical storms, hurricanes, and sea level rise. This is Fulton Street Center, Fulton's Transit Center. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. You can see all the, and now we go to Long Island, and this is a rendering of Wantagh, and you can see all the professionals there, all the finance professionals in Wantagh, rendering of Wantagh. Again, we're putting our money into an area that could wind up flooding on Long Island probably in the next 5 years. All right, Wantagh. Mineola, this is what Mineola looks like. Different, you can see the different kind of crowds. Oh, that girl on the right. But anyway, you can see the different, ideas of what. And this is what Wantagh looks like now. And you can see it really looks beautiful. Again, they're putting all their attention into this area, and because of demographics, the quality is much better. You can see they're actually finishing up pretty well on the second half is moving along very rapidly, as you can tell. But again, this is all due to demographics, because when we go to, and again, look at that canopy, a nice steel. This is a canopy that's going to be able to withstand storms, all right? Yet it's being built in an area that's flood prone. But yet when we go and look at Hicksville, look at the cheap plexiglass canopy they put up there that won't last. It won't last. It's already leaking. Hicksville wasn't done properly, and it's not right because Hicksville should have been done to the same design as Wantagh. They were originally elevated around the same time, but yet they use a completely different, inferior design. All right? So we're going to go again and look downtown. I did take some video with my phone, actually. Luckily, I was able to get another phone, and because I didn't want to be too obvious taking video in downtown, with the camera or anything. You can see how clean it is and how well kept up it is. It's a similar thing. This is Battery Park City, a similar type of thing as to what we experience here on Long Island, where the downtown area of New York City is definitely being treated a lot better than Midtown. And that's because Wall Street's there. Again, it's the same thing with finance professionals. This is the first time I took a video with the camera, so you'll have to bear with me. I did narrate, but it was kind of windy, so that's why you're hearing me narrate now. The only thing, it was kind of windy, even though you couldn't tell. But this is a beautiful garden, and sadly, climate change could wind up putting all this underwater, and it really would be a shame. It really would be a shame. Which is why we got to look at how protecting New York City somehow, because there's too many people that live here. But again, we should be investing in areas that are, again, not so threatened by climate change. But once again, we are looking purely at demographics. Developers look purely at demographics. They don't look at the big picture of our changing planet and how the sea levels are rising and how we're going to see more tropical storms. But as you can see, we're walking downtown, and I just want to show you the beautiful areas that we may lose due to climate change. And we are just, and by the way, there are no homeless people here. None. When I'm in Midtown, they're all over the place, but none downtown. And again, it really shows the preferential treatment. It shows you the power of the banks on Wall Street and how they control everything, and everything, absolutely everything. It's everything that they control. And the areas where their people live are areas that get treated much better than areas where they don't. I think I have another shot at some more video here, but this is the waterfront. It's beautiful. Look at how kept up it is. This is by far my favorite part of New York City to visit, because I don't feel unsafe here. I mean, look, I don't have anything against finance professionals. I just think, and I've said a million times before, that the color of your skin, your financial status, your career, if you're a finance professional, you work on Wall Street, that doesn't give you the right to make you feel like you're better than anyone else. That's all I'm trying to say. Your status, your whatever. It shouldn't give you the right to try to discriminate against others who are different than you and say you can only live with your own kind and all that other stuff. It just doesn't give you the right. All right. But I didn't experience any of this around here. I didn't experience any of this. A beautiful area, and it's a happening, more upbeat area, so it's happier, and it's nice not to have to see homeless people hanging out all over the place. This area is taken care of, but this is an area of New York City that could wind up being threatened by climate change. You can see there's the Hudson River there. Again, I narrated this, but like I said, it was very windy, and they didn't like the way it came out, so that's why I'm voicing it over. But I wanted to just give you this tour in this video to show you the areas that could wind up being impacted by climate change. But this is a beautiful area of New York City. Definitely Midtown. Midtown is, you go to Midtown, it's like a completely different planet. All right, it's just, Midtown feels like the ghetto, but here it's really nice. It's kept up. It's clean as a whistle, and it's just amazing. So anyway, as I wrap up this part, we're going to talk about, I'm going to actually revisiting some of the storm surge maps and some of the flood maps and show you how this area could get impacted by climate change. That's why it ties into what I talk about on this channel. And as you know, just lastly, I'm trying to make you happy. I know you want the transit and stuff, but again, I'm going to focus mostly on the environment and the weather on this channel. And occasionally when something big happens, I'll talk about it. But already after Monday and all that stuff that happened at the end, I was already starting to feel stressed out. So I'm telling you, I'm not going to make any more videos about that unless something else new happens. But anyway, let's get to some of those maps that I'm going to go over right now. We need to talk about our new world that we're going to be living in. And we're going to be living in a world with a lot more tropical storms and hurricanes hitting us. Warmer oceans and more frequent flows from the tropics, like what we are seeing here, mean that we will be seeing more hurricanes and tropical storms impacting our areas. And we're looking at this map again because I want to point this out to you. All right, all the investment that's going into the South Shore, which I talked about at the beginning of this video, the investment into storm vulnerable areas, which makes no sense. All right, they're looking at demographics, but they're not looking at the big picture. And the big picture is these are areas that are going to be affected by a hurricane or tropical storm every other year, or maybe even every year. Or even, we can even be very conservative and say every 5 years. Right? So the colors you see on this map, red represents areas that would be inundated in a Category 1 hurricane, orange Category 2, and yellow Category 3. And so we've had Category 3s in the past, and green would be Category 4. So basically anything that's shaded in this map are areas that are going to be impacted by natural disasters probably within the next year or so, or at least next 5 years. All right? And we've already gone over the fact that all these downtowns here, all of them on the South Shore are going to be inundated. The South Shore will be destroyed, all right, by a storm, hurricane. It's going to happen sooner or later. All right, Sandy was not the big one, and people think it was, and yet they still poured lots of money right back into the same areas again, only to be destroyed again by climate change. And you see here all these areas that would be flooded, yet they are the towns that are being improved and revitalized and even invested in by the railroad and by PSEG and all that other stuff, while the middle of the island areas are being neglected. But we can also turn our attention to New York City. And this is one thing I didn't do in the last video when I went over these maps. As you saw in the beginning of this video, I was downtown. And one of the things that's happening in the city is also the same thing that's happening on Long Island. All the investment is south, downtown. Well, guess what area would be most impacted by hurricane, tropical storm? Downtown. Downtown was underwater when Sandy hit. Yet they continue to pour lots and lots of money and investment in. They keep. This is where the people want to be, despite the risk. Meanwhile, Midtown, Uptown, the areas that wouldn't flood, are starting to go downhill because of that. All right, and lots of areas of Brooklyn would also be flooded too. All right, and lots of flooding on the southern parts of Brooklyn, into the city here. Lots of flooding. Both our airports would be underwater. All our airports would be underwater. LaGuardia, Kennedy, and probably Newark too. All right, very bad, very, very bad situation. All right, and this is why we need. This is a changing world, and we need to start moving people inland. All right, away from the water, because these are areas that are going to be flooding. And in inland areas, towns like Mineola, Westbury, Hicksville, all these towns, we shouldn't have vacancies. We should be having more people coming in here. All right, as people move inland more. All right, and the investment needs to be over here. All right, not on the South Shore and not by the water, because these are areas that are going to be suffering due to these increased storms. And even if we weren't undergoing climate change, hurricanes and tropical storms have always been things that have affected us throughout history. But that's just one part of the story. Then we've got to look at sea level rise. And then the other factor is sea level rise. So we're looking at the surging seas. We'll start with the city and work our way out to Long Island. And I want to actually show it, because I don't think I showed you the city. I want to show you areas in the city that are going to be impacted, all right? We're starting with a 5-foot sea level rise. As we melt the ice along the ice caps, the sea levels are going to rise. And anything you see shaded here is going to be underwater, all right? You could see you could see at 5 feet we have flooding already impacting downtown areas, Battery Park City, which was built on landfill, by the way, with 5 feet of sea level rise and some flooding right here. And this, like I said, doesn't take into account the storms and anything like that. Doesn't look that scary with 5 feet of sea level rise, which we could see in the next 10 to 15 years. If we get into this runaway phase, which I think we're starting to see, we're going to see this. All right, so we're looking at 5 feet sea level rise, the effect on downtown for the 5 feet sea level rise. But I'm going to actually put it all the way up to 10, because I think within the next probably 20 to 30 years, we're going to see closer to 10 feet of sea level rise. All right, with that, a lot of downtown areas are underwater. All those beautiful things that they built there downtown, the malls and the Oculus and all that, we would have to worry about flooding. We're going to have to think of a way to perhaps protect the city by installing floodgates or something to protect this area. Again, this is why it makes no sense with all the investment being poured into these areas. All right, that they're going to be remaining vulnerable to flooding. I'll lower it back to 5, and we're going to head out to Long Island again to show you again the impact on flooding. And I want to also show you the airports and things like that. We can zoom out a little bit here, show you that. Sorry about this. My computer It's not in the best mood. So I could show you Coney Island, which is already going underwater with 5 feet. 5 feet of sea level rise will be devastating for New York City. The map may not show. It doesn't look that bad. I'm about to show you. It'll be devastating because it's going to pour into the subways. It's going to pour underground. We're going to have to figure out a way to deal with this somehow. All right. I want to show the airports because that's important. All right. I didn't show this in the last one. So this is Kennedy Airport, and you can see already with 5 feet of sea level rise, the water's starting to intrude. If we go up to 10 feet, JFK is underwater. So in 30 or 40 years, JFK could be underwater. And imagine if this happens even more rapidly. All right. If we were to melt a lot of the ice in Greenland, we could see this. All right. All right. And so I'm just showing you the areas that are at risk due to sea level rise. I've lowered it back to 5 feet. See Long Beach, Island Park. This whole area is going to be unlivable with 5 feet sea level rise. Much of Jones Beach will be gone. And we go into the communities on the South Shore here. Rockville Center, going to start to see some effects in Rockville Center. If we go to 10 feet, Rockville Center is starting to flood out. All right, parts of it. All right. But this doesn't include the hurricanes, which I think. Imagine if you're getting a hurricane every couple of years. I mean, causing that kind of flooding, it just doesn't make any sense to, you know. And here we go. 10 feet of sea level rise, flooded waters up to Merrick Road. I think Merrick Road is going to be underwater, and the water's going to be lapping out at Sunrise Highway. All right. All right. We go look at Massapequa Preserve, where I took that video the other day. You can see parts of it are already going to start to flood, and if we go all the way to 10 feet sea level rise, yeah, parts of it could be underwater, you know. I think these projections are actually a little conservative, in my opinion. All right. We're going to keep it at 10 feet. We go to Babylon. Investment in the Babylon brand. You know where the Babylon Yard is, folks? You know where the Babylon Yard is? Hold on a second. Your computer is... right over here. It shows up right here. Look at the water. 10 feet sea level rise. Already the water's lapping up at Babylon Yard. Alright, so the Babylon branch will definitely get affected by that. We've gone through a lot of these maps before, but I just want to point this out to you. In this changing climate that we have, this is what the future of Long Island is going to be in the South Shore. All these places will be underwater, a lot of these places. Downtown Sayville, and that beautiful park we were at, too, over here. That's going to be underwater with 5 feet of sea level rise. It was right over here. That park was, I think it was over here somewhere. Yeah, it was over here. That park that we were at. Do apologize for the map disappearing for a moment. It's my computer. It just doesn't have the memory. Yeah, I think that park was, yeah, it was over here. Yeah, that'll be underwater with 5 feet of sea level rise. Patchogue. Sea level rise is going to affect downtown Patchogue. Go to 10 feet sea level rise. This is all underwater. So you get the idea. You get the idea of what this future climate's going to bring. And chances are we are not going to be able to stop this. We're not going to be able to stop this. And neither option is pretty. If Yellowstone erupts, it's going to be horrible. I don't want to see that happen either. But it might be the only way to stop this climate change is some radical way of blocking the sunlight to trigger a global cooling event. As far as Port Jefferson goes, there's another downtown on Long Island, which is right over here. Part of that will be underwater. See, but the upper port area, the area by the train station, which is a severely neglected area, and sadly, somebody was shot to death there the other day. This area right over here, this won't see any effects. It's high and dry, even with 10 feet of sea level rise. It's fine. So let's invest in these areas. There's lots of vacancies. Let's move those people over here. But the people, they would rather deal with the threat from Mother Nature than deal with, deal with people that are different than them, I guess. So the issue is not just discrimination, but it is investment in areas that are going to be prone to natural disasters. Downtown Belmore doesn't have that many vacancies. It's doing well, and this is an area that could be impacted by hurricanes in the future. And yet, when I come back to Mineola, it's dead. There's nobody around. It's starting to remind. I mean, I don't feel unsafe, but it's just depressing. There's so many vacancies. there's so much opportunity for growth here, and we shouldn't be suffering. This is an area that this is going to be one of the safer places to be living on Long Island in this age of natural disasters, in this age of climate change, in this age of more tropical storms, hurricanes, and sea level rise. Why are we looking at this? Why isn't there money being invested here? Why do they purely look at the demographic and say, oh, it's less than 90% white, so we're not going to invest here? It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous and preposterous. All right, and we need to see this change in our island. I made this video because I want people to wake up and see what stupidity is going on right now. What stupidity is going on? We shouldn't be throwing our money into areas just because they're 90% white. We should be looking at areas in the middle of the island to revitalize and to improve, you know, and for people to live, because the fact is the South Shore is going to be unlivable in the future. All right, and you know, all the towns on the middle of the island, we have plenty of, you know, there's no need to chop down trees, you know, and go out east and knock down pine barrens to build homes when we have so much vacant space available in the middle of the island, whether it's commercial or residential. There are plenty of places for people to live here. All right, and this is why we need to put attention into the main line, into the middle of the island, because this is where people are going to be living in this age of climate change. And that is going to be all I'm going to have to say in this video. I don't want to really be talking about these issues much anymore. I know a lot of you like when I do. But for my own sake, for my own sanity, I'd rather just focus on natural stuff. But this does tie into the natural world. This ties into the environment, because where people are living and where people are choosing to invest is an area that is at risk for natural disasters in the future due to climate change. And we've got to, you know, move past this living with our own kind thing. Just because you're whatever you are, we all need to live together. All different kinds of people, we need to live together, because we are going to have a less available land to live on this island in New York and in this world as the sea levels start to rise. And destroying the woods is not the answer. We need to be revitalizing our downtowns. You know, we need to be, there is so much area, so many cities across this country that have empty space, you know, and could be places for people to live, because as the sea levels rise, people are going to have to move inland. This is a way, this is a fact of life as the sea levels rise due to climate change and tropical storms and hurricanes. And that will conclude this video. So I hope you, you know, appreciated some of the information in here. And, you know, if you are an investor, if you work in the banks and finance, please open your mind, all right? Because we need a change of thinking. You're going to lose a lot of money by throwing your money into areas that are prone to natural disasters. Please think about what you're doing. Anyway, that concludes this video. Take care, and thank you for watching.